rates are trending downward, and that's just very positive. And with that in mind, instead of going backwards as to things that we may have seen last month, I want to start the year off on a positive note. We did get some changes with Fannie Mae, and as is the case, typically when something comes through with Fannie Mae, it is mirrored with Freddie Mac as well. So I did want to touch on those things, and these are opportunities for us. And I wanted to make sure that we're all well versed on it. So the things that I'm going to go over now, I'm going to send it out to everyone so that you will be able to have it as a point of reference. All right. Let me get started here. Now, the first thing that I'm talking about is income opportunities. Now, some of our borrowers, they do have stocks and other investment opportunities, or investment income, I should say. Now, restricted stock units and restricted stock is the topic. And it says that this income has been added as eligible sources and may be used as qualifying income now. To be considered, the restricted stock must be vested and have been distributed to the borrower without restrictions. Guidelines for history of receipt can vary depending on the income, if it's performance-based awards or time-based awards. So I don't want you guys to get too far in the weeds with that, but just know that we can use, restricted stock. Goes on to say all of the following things must be documented. We've got to make sure that the stock is publicly traded, current vesting schedule, identifying past and future vesting, which gives the regularity of those additions, a brokerage or a bank statement showing receipt of the distribution from the previous year, and at a minimum, the number of vested shares or the cash equivalent. Believe me, that's on any stock options report. So there's nothing extra you'd have to ask for from the borrower. We would need a completed VOE that reflects distributions or the borrower's most recent pay stub showing receipt of the income. So if they've received any of these distributions, we just need to have the proof as you would with the pay stub that they have received it, and the borrower's W-2 for the most recent 2-year period. And on the W-2, it will also show if in fact there's any distributions or whatever the case may be. All right. So the restricted stock income calculation method will vary if the income is received in the form of shares or in cash, and the length of time that the borrower has been receiving the compensation. So typically when a person is receiving restricted stock units and those dividends, it's not something that just, happens all of a sudden, but it's something that they do receive, regularly, especially if they're, using retirement income to qualify, or retirement assets to qualify. Now, in the spirit of income, I am going to jump into different income topics. So, when I'm finished, just know that I will, open it up for any questions. Before grossing, this is non-taxable income adjustments. Now, this is something that when I saw it, I thought that this was a pretty big change. It's before grossing up income to qualify, documentation must be provided to support that the income is non-taxable. We all know that. Clarification provided that additional documentation to support that income is not taxable is not required for the following. Get this: for child support. The full amount of qualifying child support income is non-taxable and can be grossed up according to guidelines. Social Security income, grossing up at 15% of the total Social Security income, is always non-taxable and can be also grossed up according to guidelines. So in both of those cases, we are able to do that without any further documentation or proof that is non-taxable. Because typically, if they're getting those two, we would want to see tax returns to verify that it's not taxable. In this case, if they're getting W-2 income and they have, these two, either of these two categories, child support or, Social Security, we can forego getting the tax returns for that. Okay, now a different topic. This has to do with updated guides on non-arm's length transactions. Now, I pulled this out of the changes because I wanted to, something struck in a chord that I think that is kind of, typical of some of the loans that we see. It says updated non-arm's length transactions. We have to identify if the seller is a corporation, partnership, or any other business entity. Now, we have to ensure that the borrower is not an owner of the business entity selling the subject property. Okay, so essentially, if we're purchasing a loan from an LLC, we are going to need to see, those LLC docs. Now, typically, we'll get the authority of that person to sell. Whoever signed the contract and all of that. But we do need to see the list of owners to make sure that our borrower is not one of them. Now, when I say a list of owners, I mean the corporate docs can show that, and then also we might be able to cross-reference in the fraud report to show a lack of ownership. But just know that for non-arm's length transactions, when the seller is a corporation, LLC, or something like that, we have to verify from a documentational standpoint that our borrower is not one of the owners of the companies. All right. Now, jumping into appraisals, and I know I'm going through a whole lot of things. So, if in fact you have any questions, just jot them down, guys, and we'll go over it. Now, some of you are familiar with the changes from the old PIW concept. Now, agencies are requiring the ACE and the PDR. The ACE, I know PDR is Property Detail Report, and the acronym for the ACE is the Automated Collateral Evaluation. Those are required. Now, one of the major changes is that cash out refinances are no longer eligible for that PIW, guys. It says remove. The guideline is that they have removed cash out refinances as being eligible for the automated collateral evaluation. Identified. The other change is that they've also identified that the following for ACE and PDR reports cannot be more than 120 days old, which is typical, same as an appraisal if you get a PDR, and the PDR effective date may be no more than 12 months prior to the note date. So, essentially, 6 months. I'm sorry, it's 4 months old for the ACE PDR, and which is the combination of the two, which is sometimes required depending on the agency's determination, and that's identified on the AUS. And should we have one of those, I would, more than happily, point out where you can locate it. But the property detail report effective date may be no more than 12 months prior to the note date. And, honestly, you wouldn't, if you get in a property detail report, you would want to make sure that that is as current as possible. Okay. Oh, as far as another restriction, let me see. Manufactured housing for conforming loan identifies that manufactured home is ineligible whenever it has deed restrictions or leaseholds, unless unless we have a approved condo or PUD project approval. So typically, you're not going to have a manufactured condo, but just saying that manufactured homes are ineligible if they have any deed restrictions or if they are leasehold. So that's essentially what it is. Anytime there's a leasehold where the borrower does not own the land, then we would not be able to do that. And typically, we don't allow leasehold manufactured homes, because it's more like they're in what we would deem as a trailer park, and that's just like ground rents because they're paying that. All right. Let me see. Now I was snipping things from these guidelines, so it does, kind of jump around a little bit, but it's, it get your blood pumping on a Tuesday morning, first work day of the year. Now, we need to make sure that updated alimony payments for court order payments have to reflect that if the payments have not been consistently received for the most recent 3 months, 3 months, the average of the income from the prior 2 years must be developed for effective income. All right. So essentially, and that's almost like, the FHA way of calculating, bonus and overtime income. But in this case, if the payments have not been consistently received for the most recent 3 months, and we would have to have that proof on alimony, then we'd have to take a 2-year average. Additional guidelines have been updated for both court-ordered or voluntary payments, including alimony, child support, or maintenance income that have been received for less than 2 years. The average over the time of receipt is the calculation, and it must be used as effective income when having less than a 24-month average history is documented. So essentially, I'm when I send this out to you guys, I will group it all into, as it flows from an income aspect to a property detail, as well as, any type of appraisal related issues. So in going through the updates, these things, jumped out at me because again, I see these as increased opportunities for us, especially from an income aspect, and being able to gross up your child support and your SSI without any further documentation. That's something that that definitely can be viewed as a positive for a lot of the loans that we get. So those are the main topics that I wanted to touch on, and that didn't take very long. So I do want to, now Stephanie is right here with me. Unfortunately, because of technical difficulties, we only have one have one microphone working today. So if you have any questions or concerns, hit me up. And it doesn't have to be on this topic. If there's anything that you came up against individually, let me know. Let's get it out here because if it's a question for you, that answer could be beneficial to all. So I want to open it up for any questions. She's muted. Sonia, you're muted. There you go. Still muted.
Thank you, Darryl. I think that's great.
Yeah. I just want to just emphasize what you say, Darryl, because for everyone, we have this meeting once a month. So please write down in your notes if you have any questions that you just want to, or scenarios that you want to put over there so everybody can learn. That will be a very, worthy class after, Darryl touch any topic, and then we can develop in questions that he can just, Stephanie and he just, develop, and you just can learn, in a real scenario of any of your deals. So just go ahead, please participate, and let's be a very interactive, class. It's a quiet class, I think.
Are we awake today? Are we awake? No, as one of the things typical in the first of the year is we also get a lot of training opportunities from our investors as well as our mortgage insurance partners as well. And a lot of these, and a lot of the trainings are not just, compliance or operational advantageous. They will be advantageous to you guys as well. So I do encourage you, as sales professionals to, whenever possible, sign up with Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae to get information on their updates and all of those things if you haven't already. You can create a profile with FHA info to get information, mortgagee letters and all those things from them, because all of these are tools. And, the interpretation of these things you get, they're always open for discussion if in fact, you feel that it alters the underwriting decision. One thing about myself and I will, speak with for Stephanie as well, is that we don't underwrite with an ego. By no means. The operative goal is to close as many loans and help as many borrowers as we can. So I don't consider it a challenge for you to challenge an underwriting decision. And if you need an explanation for it, if you don't necessarily agree with it, I welcome those conversations as long as we keep it professional, which we always have. But I definitely, I welcome that, guys, because, although, I have over 35 years in this, in underwriting and underwriting leadership, Stephanie as well. I mean, it's always best to put our heads together as opposed to, standing apart with our own individual, decisions. So, I did want to, say that and open up to you guys, any type of things we have. Okay. And okay, for 2-year work history, does convention allow foreign verification of employment? Now, are you talking about foreign income? I know it has to be taxable income from the United States in order for us to do it. But if you're looking for work history, if you can prove it previous, then yes, I do believe that we would be able to allow that, depending on how valid that verification is, and make sure it's translated. But yes, I mean, if we're not looking for it for income purposes and just to verify a 2-year work history, then I would say yes, especially if we can document it. That was a good question.
I have a question, Chris, on the child support.
Okay.
This is Melissa.
Hi, Melissa.
Hi. Is it still on the child support? Is it still age restricted as far as in receiving the child support? 3 years?
Yeah,
to
that
3
that hasn't changed. There wasn't any. There have been no no guideline updates as it pertains to the length of receipt of child support, and if in fact they were receiving Social Security for a minor or something like that, unless it's a permanent disability, we still need to make sure that there is at least a 3-year continuance.
Okay, and then when you said it doesn't require further documentation,
Mhm.
because I'm coming from a bank underwriting
Mhm.
team,
Right.
which is very strict.
Indeed.
So it's kind of good to hear this information. So that's meaning like right now I would have to get 2 months bank statements showing that the deposits are going in for like the Social Security. So that's like the normal for me. Is that something that's different?
No.
Here?
No, that's still the same. I mean, that's a universal
Oh, okay.
requirement. You got to prove that, proving receipt of income is just like, with 2 pay stubs. You always,
Right.
we want 2 pay stubs. It is going to be, 2 bank statements. I will say that when it comes to your other income, such as alimony and child support, you do want to show at least 3 months. So, but even with the child support order and proof of receipt, then we will we'll definitely look at that as favorably as possible. And never we don't underwrite for comfort here. We underwrite for necessity. So if in fact you have that, and I'm willing, we are definitely willing to take a look at it.
Okay, so currently, I gather the award letter for Social Security, the 2 months bank statements, and for child support, they usually ask us for for statements, which a lot of people don't ever go on a child support website to pull their statements.
Mm-hmm.
But we, can we just show proof of like a court order for the child support?
No, you have to show proof of receipt. No, you have to show, proof of the court order and the proof of deposit. Yeah, because, again, unfortunately with child support, even though, some people are ordered to pay it, they don't pay it.
Right.
So we would definitely, I mean, so nothing's really changed with that.
Okay.
I would say that, as far as being, more liberal, we really don't get, I know coming from a bank aspect, it's the same, those same rules do apply, fortunately, unfortunately, we definitely have to make sure that they do receive it in that manner. And typically on the Social Security income with the award letter, you're going to provide bank statements or assets for other parts of the loan, whether if it's a purchase, but in the event of a refinance, 2 months is definitely preferable, but I have been able to move with the award letter in 1 month on a refinance. But typically, being better safe than sorry, especially if there's other weak, facets to the loan, you want to strengthen it wherever we can. And, that's something I used to say in previous training sessions, and I just want to reiterate, it just brought it to mind. You guys know your loans, and you know the questionable, not questionable, but you know the difficult aspects of each and every one of your loans. If you know that something is difficult, but you also know that something is strong, let's accentuate those positives. Over document whenever you can. Not that it's going to dissuade the necessity of addressing something not as positive, but I tell you, compensating factors never hurt anyone. I just wanted
Okay.
to throw that
So-
out there.
So just to clarify on the Social Security, as long as we have, the 2 months bank statement showing deposit, we don't need a letter from Social Security stating that it's going to continue for 3 years, because that's what they currently have.
Well, it's going to depend if in fact it's for,
On,
Yeah, it depends on what type it is. If it's for that individual, then no, but if they're receiving it for someone else, then yes.
okay, got it. Yes, like if it's like for, for like a child or an adult or yes,
Right.
I understand. Okay, got it.
All great questions. All great questions. All right, who else has something like that? Well, it doesn't have to be like that. It can be anything. One thing that I did say I wasn't going to go in reverse, but I did just have an appraisal, and it's for a purchase, and it's not the first time, but it's not. Let me see, how do I put this? It's not the first time that this happened. It's come through subject to, and it's subject through to some changes and whatnot that are corrections. In this case, I think it's peel and paint or something like that. One thing to always keep in mind, and this is an FHA loan, so this comment is FHA related. One thing that you want to look for in any FHA appraisal is you want to see that sentence that says it meets HUD's guidelines for HUD approved mortgage, because it can be subject to something and you deem it's minor. And you're like, oh, this, it only going to take $500. It shouldn't, we shouldn't hold it up for that. You've got to make sure that that property meets HUD's minimum requirements. Okay. And it does say it in each and every appraisal. So if ever you get it, and you may not see the appraisal, obviously, as a sales professional right away, but whenever you do get those requests, if you get a condition for, reinspection and an as is appraisal, keep in mind that that's always going to be on a, not just a HUD loan, on a government loan specifically, that it has to meet the minimum requirements. So, and it doesn't disqualify, but, again, it needs to be factored in. New construction. Luckily, we have a new construction FHA loan. There are specific required disclosures, and every builder who's, I'm sure that they know as well, but there are specific documents and disclosures that the builders have to provide as well. We will definitely get those out to you, but if you have any coming in, just tee it up to make sure. And in what I'm sending you guys out, I'm just going to give you a list of the basic documentation that you need on new construction loans, especially for FHA. Because if we have one, and we do that one successfully, much like with the getting the condos approved, I want to make sure that everyone has an opportunity and the knowledge to do those successfully. So you ask those good questions up front.
Usually, when do you send those ones, Darryl?
Those they'll go out with the conditions. So we'll start making sure that we send them out as attachments to the operational partner with the conditions. But knowing what those documents are, a lot of times those documents are provided by the builder. The builder would already have those, but I'm going to make sure that we send them. And it's a total of 4 disclosures, and they have to do with termite and warranties, if they're warranting their work and stuff like that. It's nothing evasive. It's very, minor. Most of it just needs to check 2 boxes and a signature, but they are mandatory documents. But they will go out from now on. They'll definitely go out with the initial conditions as opposed to after the fact. Working with John Shea on this one, and he's amazing. He just immediately knew what we were talking about when I told him about these, and he got those in process right away. So, again, it's nothing, builders shouldn't put up a fuss about it, but they are mandatory. And I wanted to make sure in the event that you have a new construction purchase that you're trying to take FHA, that way you'll know. And those are, they're no more difficult than any other loan. So don't shy away from it thinking, oh God, this is going to be more difficult. An FHA new construction, not at all. If the borrower can go FHA, then take full advantage of it. Take full advantage of it. Let me see. Those were topics that I came up with. Guys, you have any questions? I don't want to give you back too much time. I'll give you back a couple minutes. I want to give you back all of it. Anything that you're seeing, from since you have any loans in process now where you have have an obstacle that you're trying to overcome before you even submit it. Let's talk about it. Make sure you're utilizing the scenario desk whenever possible. And not that it's not always the best case, but heck, you can email Stephanie or call Stephanie or I. If you do have any questions or concerns. We want to keep it with the scenario desk because the information that we share there, we can share with everyone. The information we accumulate there with the questions and answers, we can share with everyone. But, I want to make sure that I'm opening up all avenues of contact so that, us as your underwriting team, we can help you guys, give you every unfair advantage we can. Absolutely. Well, it is a beautiful day here in California. Hopefully it's nice wherever you guys are. We're here all day. I'm looking forward to an amazing year. We're going to start it off strong. You guys, especially with these rates trending downward. We closed a lot of loans at higher rates last year, so might be time to tap on those doors again and see if we can do something for them. And help them and help us as well as a company and individually and collectively. So any questions or concerns that you may have, please let us know, man. We'd be all about it. Well, Sonia, on that note, if you guys have anything else, any guys, be sure and send us any emails. I'm going to the topics that I discussed today. Like I said, I'm gonna put them in a better order that flows, and I'll get that out to you. If not by close of business today, you'll have it first thing tomorrow. Thankfully, I got a couple of loans that I want to get out for you guys. But if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to contact Stephanie or myself or both of us. As a matter of fact, let's just make it both. So anytime it's a question that you didn't send to the scenario desk, make sure you copy us both on it because we can both, opine on it, as well as, if it's a procedural change we need to make, we can both make them, congruently. So, all right. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much, Darryl. Thank you so much,
again.
everyone. Let's close some deals January, guys.
Indeed.
The second day of the month, so let's start moving.
Let's get it going. All right, you guys have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Darryl. Thank you, Stephanie.